Alright guys, it's time to move on to ratios, rates, and percents. We spent quite a bit of time on this stuff, so you can expect to see some of it on your final. Alright? So, to go through ratios, rates, percents, we start with ratios. And if you remember, a ratio is a comparison of two, I'm going to use a big word like quantities, but remember, I could replace that with numbers or values. Like, all of these things are quantities. Alright? Now, if you remember, ratios usually come in one of two ways. They're either a part to a part, or they're a part to the whole. And we'll get a little bit into that in a little bit. Alright? So, let's jump right into this. And I want to take a look and see. Okay, so it says that we answer 13 out of 20 questions correctly in a quiz. What is the ratio of questions you got wrong to total questions? Okay, so first thing I want to do is I know that I need to write wrong to total. That is the fraction that I need to write. That is the comparison I need to make, the ratio I need, okay? Problem, it says I got 13 right, or correct. So how do I get the wrong? I think what I'm going to do, just to kind of help me out here, I'm going to make a little table. Let's see here if I can do this. So I'm going to say that these are right, wrong, and total. So if I got 13 out of 20 correct, that means I did 13 right. That means I had a total of 20, so there is absolutely zero choice but for this wrong number to be a 7. And I hope that makes sense. You don't need to make this table every time, but I think it can be pretty helpful. Alright? And so now I know that I want the wrong to the total, so yeah, wrong to total, 7 over 20. 7 over 20, I look through my list, oh, I got it. There we go. Alright, so I would definitely, in this case, suggest at least showing a little bit of work to make sure you understand why the wrong is a 7. Alright, as we move on to number 2, now we have a pet store. There are 9 dogs and 5 fewer cats. Interesting. So if there are 9 dogs, we have that. What does 5 fewer cats mean? Well, fewer means less than, right? So if we had 9 dogs, there's going to have to be 9 minus 5 cats. Or in this case, I'm going to say 4 cats, right? And I can get rid of that. So now we know that there are 9 dogs and 4 cats. So if I want the ratio of dogs to cats, like it says in our question, well, I just need 9 over 4. So letter C. Alright, so there will definitely be some like that where you're going to have to understand from like a word problem. Then there might be something where you have to be able to visualize or see from a table some information as well. So it says we want to use the table at the right, and we want to know the ratio of action movies, so PG action, to action movies rated R, so R action. So please make sure you guys know and understand here that if I want PG action, that is one very specific box. It is right here because it's a PG movie and it's an action movie. So I know I need this too. And then when I look for the R action, I have to do the same thing. Oh, R movie, action movie, they meet right here. Okay, so now I know that I need to go 2 over 6. Okay, 2 over 6, 2 over... Oh, shoot, there is no 2 over 6. I better check on my calculator to see that that 2 over 6 is simplified. 2 over 6. Oh, it's 1/3. Okay, that's not bad. There we go. 2 over 6 is the same thing as 1 over 3. Alright. One of our last types of problems was to use ratio to solve a problem. Alright? Now we know the ratio of juniors to seniors is 5 to 4. That's great. but there are way, way, way more than 5 and 4, like 5 juniors and 4 seniors. And so we have to remember is that this fraction, this is just a simplified or reduced fraction. I could write this a lot of different ways. So one thing that I do is if I know in total there are 1,089 juniors and seniors, well, what I do is I say there has to be some ratio, 5 to 4. Well, then I'm going to say that there are 5x and 4x juniors and seniors, right? I have to multiply both the 5 and the 4 by some number, and then in total there has to be 1,089. So if the juniors, right, so juniors plus seniors has to equal the total, well, then I can say that 5x plus 4x has to equal my total of 1,089. All right. So 5x and 4x, oh, we just did that in our solving. We combine to 9x. And then we are going to solve this by dividing by 9, 9. Oh. So what do we got? 1,089. Sorry, guys. Divided by 9. Oh, okay. X equals 121. Oh, wait a minute. I don't see a 121 anywhere. I got you. We have to be careful and make sure we understand what's going on here. 121 is that multiplier, or that number that we had to multiply the 5 or the 4 by in order to get the total amount. That is not the number of students. Again, it's the multiplier. So the last thing we have to understand is that if we want the senior number, or the number of seniors, well, the seniors we said was 4x. So I have to say seniors are 4x, but if x is 121, then I'm going to do 4 times 121. And when I do 4 times 121, I get 484, which is why I am going to circle letter B. All right. Okay, so that was ratios. We'll move on to some rate stuff, and then we will finish up with percents. Guys, a rate is just a ratio. The major difference here is that it's comparing two quantities still, but they have to have different units, or they have different units. All right, so that's really important. That can be anything. It could be miles per gallon, dollars per pound, right? Lots of different things, but just make sure that they have different units. Unit rate is just a rate, but it's a rate that always has 1 in the denominator. Okay? So to calculate a unit rate, we really are just going to have to divide. All right. Now I'm going to skip an example here because I know I'm already blabbing and taking forever. So I'm going to do my example down here in number 2 once we get there. All right. But please remember, to calculate a unit rate, you're going to divide. And then I'm going to say see number 2 below for example. Okay. So number 1, it's just asking for a rate, not a unit rate, just a rate. So if we have $60 on 8 DVDs, well, what would we want to do here? We'd want to compare the $60 to 8 DVDs, and if it's still a ratio, right? We said it's still a ratio, then it's still going to be a fraction. So I'm going to say 60 over 8. Oh shoot, I see 2 of them with 60 over 8. Which one's right? I'm going to have to go ahead and say that B is the correct one. Right now, 60 over 8, I have no idea what we're talking about, right? I don't know if we're talking money or hours, like anything. I have no idea what the units are. So we're going to make sure that when we write these, that we keep the units with us. All right, so $60 over 8 DVDs, and that's perfectly good. I like it, just like that. Now here we go. Now it's asking for the unit rate here. I want the exact unit rate of this situation. And this is what I'm talking about when I say you just divide. You're going to go ahead, guys, and you're going to do the 60 over the 8. So we get 15 over 2. We do not want to leave this as a fraction, right? When we're talking money here, everything's money. I'm going to go ahead and, if you remember correctly, these double arrow buttons down here will convert. So I'm going to change this to $7.50. So $7.50. Why did it? Can I just keep it as 7.5? No, we're talking about money. You got to have 2 decimal places with money. All right. So 750. And again, it was a unit rate, which means there has to be a 1 in the denominator. So this is not just $7.50. It's $7.50 for 1 DVD. This is what we're talking about with unit rates. Okay? You got to have a 1 in the denominator. Number 3, at the current rate, how much does it cost for 11 DVDs? Well, this is the one where you just multiply. You take the unit rate. If I know it's $7.50 for 1 DVD, then to get 11 DVDs, I'm going to do $7.50 over 1 DVD times 11 DVDs. Okay? So when I go ahead and I do that, $7.50 times 11, I get $82.50. So I know that my answer for that one should be $82.50. All right? If you guys remember correctly, also going along with unit rate was trying to find like the best or worst deal, right? So I know now that these are some rates, or I can write some rates on apples based on the different stores. So like for example, at Whole Foods, I would spend $1.29 for 1 pound. That's already a unit rate, so that's great. For Jewel, I'm going to have a little bit more work to do, right? I'm going to have to say it's $2.49 for 2 pounds. And when I do that on the calculator, so 249 divided by 2. Ooh, whoop, I guess you couldn't see what I was doing there. Sorry, guys. 249 divided by 2 is 124. So I'm going to say money. I can only have 2 decimals. I'm going to round up that 4 to a 5 for 1 pound. Okay. So now we have Joule's unit rate. Now we're going to have to get Meyer's. So I'm going to say 359 over 3 pounds. And when I do 359 divided by 3, 1.196. Okay, I'm actually going to have to round that 9 up. Or I guess I'm actually rounding a 19 up to a 20. So I'm going to say that this one is 120 over 1 pound. And then lastly, Mariano's. Let's see what Mariano's charges. $4.49 for 4 pounds. So when we do that division to get their unit rate, 4.49 divided by 4, 1.12, and that's the next number is a 2, so I'm actually just going to keep it at 2. 1.12. 1.12 for 1 pound. So now that we have all of the unit rates, and I want to know which has the best deal, well, I would want to buy my apples from Mariano's. Okay? I hope that this is kind of a refresher. I know we did quite a bit of those. Alright. Okay. Last little part of this video. Percents. If you remember correctly, a percent, I mean, by the word itself, it's out of 100, all right? So a percent, we really just want to know how much is something out of 100, all right? Going along with percents, we talked about converting, and converting is just changing from one form to another. Sometimes it's good to give a number in a percent. Other times it's better to be in decimal form or fraction form. So between percents, fractions, and decimals, these are the forms that we should be able to convert between. All right? All right, our last vocabulary word for this video would be percent change. And really that's by what percent an amount has increased or decreased. If the price of something goes up or it increases, we call it percent increase. That's tough, right? And if the price goes down, we call it percent decrease. So make sure to be on the lookout for all of that. So now here are some conversions. Here is a fun little table that should help us remember how to do some of our conversions. So if we have the percentage 32%, the easiest thing to do to change a percent into a fraction is use the definition. What did we say a percent was? It was out of 100. So that means I have 32 out of 100. Now, 32 out of 100, I think I can reduce. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to say that this actual fraction is 8/25. But again, how did we do it? We just took the percentage and we put it out of 100, over 100. All right. Now, for decimal, there's a few ways to do it. Some of you guys may remember that a percent and a decimal, really, it's just you just kind of move the decimal place. So if you want to do that, that's fine. The other way is just to use your calculator. I have this fraction. I can use the double arrow button to change to decimal, and it gives me the 0.32. 0.32, excuse me. All right. Okay. Well, this is going to help us on the next one, right? What do we notice? There was a 32 in the numerator here, and then the first two decimal places were 32. So I'm actually going to use that to kind of work backwards now from decimal into fraction. I'm going to say if I have 0.06, well, 0.06 is really just a 6, right? The first two decimal places. This was 32. 0.06 is just 6 out of 100. And then again, I would probably try to reduce this just to be, 3 out of 50 would be my overall reduced fraction. Okay? But I'm going to use the definition again, right? I know that a percent is out of 100, and this is out of 100. So if I have 6 out of 100, then I have 6%. Again, the other way to think about this, guys, is you can move the decimal place if that's something you're interested in. You can always move the decimal place 2 spots over to create your percent. All right. Now this last one, it's a little bit tiny. 2 over 5, that's reduced. 2 over 5, it's already reduced. But if I double arrow it, I get 0.4. So 0.4. Well, I think I might just add another 0 here so I understand that that's actually 0.40. And then if I know that, then I think, and hopefully you guys can either use the moving the decimal place over, or you could remember that I could rewrite this fraction as the first two decimal places over 100. So 40 out of 100. And then if I have 40 out of 100, then of course I have 40%, because that is what a percent is. It is a value out of 100. Holy cow, I am taking forever here. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's get through 1, 2, and 3. Oh gosh, there's a whole other page. Ugh. All right, I'll stop talking. So, what is 7 over 10 as a percent? Well, 7 over 10 as a decimal is 0.7 or 0.70. So that's 70 out of 100, right? Because I took my first two decimals, and then I know that I have 70%. All right, so the first thing I did was I went to decimal, then I kind of changed it to a fraction, and then I went to percentage. What is 0.14 as a fraction? Well, my first two decimals I put over 100. So I have 14 100ths. Or if I want it a fraction, I probably should check to see if it's reduced. Oh, it wasn't. 7 out of 50. 7 out of 50. So then I would have to use that. Lastly, 55% is a decimal. Lots of different ways. If I go 55 and understand that a fraction is going to be 55 out of 100, then I can do that on the calculator. And I can double arrow it, so 0.55. And now I have those 3 questions answered. Alright, now, I do need to go over this last page with you guys. I know this is taking forever. Holy cow. There was a lot of stuff here. Percent change. Important stuff. Good word problems. Kelly scored 66 points on her last exam. She sets a goal to increase her score by 50%. What score does Kelly need to get to meet her goal? Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to find the change. Alright, so step 1. Step 1. Calculate the change. Now, by that I mean, I know there were 66 points, right? So her first score was 66. She wants to set a goal to increase by 50%. Well, that means that I need to multiply this by 50%, because that's what is going to get me the amount that has changed. 66 times 0.5 is 33. Okay, so now I know the amount that has changed. Step 2, though, is to really kind of think about what's happening here. She sets a goal to increase her score. So what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to take the original and we're going to add the change. So 66 plus 33, and that gets us 99. Okay? Now, before we circle, let's take a look at this test-taking strategy here. This problem was asking for percent increase, correct? Percent increase. So hopefully that you guys, I hope you guys can kind of think through this right away and get rid of some options. If her score needs to go up, then is it possible for her to get 33? No, that would be going down. How about 16? No, also down. All right, both of those 2 options are no good. Can't use them. Now, of course, we already had calculated it. That was B. But now, at least, if you have that strategy of looking through and getting rid of options first, it could help you guys narrow down your choices. All right, last percent change problem. Michael is trying to lose weight for the summer. He currently weighs 160 pounds but would like to lose 5% of his weight. What will Michael weigh if he is successful? Let's see here. Again, we want to calculate the change. Calculate change. And to do that, we take the original amount and we multiply it by the amount that's changing, or the percent that's changing. So 160 times 0. Be very careful. 5% is 0.05. Alright, be very careful. This is 0.05 on your calculator. You could also use it as a fraction. My bad, guys. You could have just used 5 over 100, right? Let me write that just here in case you guys wanted to use that. Those 2 things are the exact same. Alright, but when we do that, 160 times 0.05, we get 8. So now we know that there has to be a change of 8 pounds. What's happening here? Michael's trying to lose weight. So that means, what are we going to do? We're going to take the original here, and are we going to add 8 or are we going to subtract? We're going to have to subtract in this case. So original minus the change. And so 160 minus 8 equals 152, and now we can circle. You guys could have used the same test-taking strategy on this one for at least one of the answers, right? It can't be 168. That would have been increasing. He wouldn't have lost weight there. Alright, so holy cow, this video has been entirely too long. I'm very sorry. But hopefully it was a good review of percent change and ratios, rates, and percents. Sorry. Have a good one.